So glad you could make it. What can I get you? Sure you can help. Can you put this on the table? What kind of wine would you like? I think we're ready. Everybody, let's sit down. Christina surveyed the dining table one last time before lowering into her chair. This was her favorite part of their dinner parties. Plates full of her warm food, her friends collected around her table, the beam of approval from her husband at the other end. He stood to maneuver a cork out of a wine bottle. The confidence of his hands excited her, her private appreciation even greater in the midst of the gathering. Christina, once again, gorgeous table. The spices and the couscous Moroccan, and this chicken is so tender. How do you do it? Sally savored another bite. And you look positively glowing. Sally's husband, Rick, chimed in. Yes, you do. And Matthew looks especially happy. You two got a secret? Something to share with your poor old tired friends? Christina glanced at Matthew as he leaned in to hear Molly bursting. Watching him unobserved oddly intrigued her. She turned back to Rick reluctantly. If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret, right? Come on. He canted in closer to her ear. I promise not to tell. I can use a little glow. His boyish charm had faded over the years and had never worked on Christina. His perennial ponytail was straggly now. At least he had replaced his usual rock concert t-shirt with a polo shirt for tonight's festivities. She gave him her best Mona Lisa smile and asked the Bursteins about their ever-ongoing remodeling project. She poured and passed and prompted conversation, and was that Rick petting her thigh? She swiveled in disbelief. He only wanted her attention to give her the wine decanter. Who wants coffee with dessert? Decaf? Tea? She gathered discarded plates and took them into the kitchen. Here's the rest of them. She was a bit mystified to see Rick enter the kitchen. He was not the scullery type, usually happier to regale the table with the latest internet memes. I was serious back there about your secret, you and Matthews. You two do look happier now than when you first got together. Really, how do you do that? Christina leaned back against the counter to appraise him. No bullshit that she could detect. Were he and Sally having trouble? If so, he wasn't the one she talked to about it. Oh, I don't know, Rick. Not having kids probably has something to do with it. More time for each other, you know? Well, yeah, our three consume a lot. He grinned and shrugged his shoulders. A lot of food, money, time, energy, but they're great kids, he added quickly. Of course. He was more interesting as a compassionate father than a horn dog. Has it ever bothered you not having any? He moved beside her and matched her counter lean. We tried. I don't know if Sally told you. She and I used to talk about it. We did some testing, maybe something hormonal with me. They weren't ever completely sure. Then we decided it wasn't worth all the stress, trying to time things and measure and, well, it can kill things, you know. I can imagine. Just waiting for the diaphragm can kill things. They chuckled together. The tea kettle's whistle joined in. Christina turned to busy herself with a coffee press and teapot. So, what can I do to help? Arrange cups and saucers? Rile up your hormones? He ran his hand down her spine, unsettling her as she tried to determine how much she minded the contact. Oh, now, Rick. Just the slightest tremor in her words. You better watch out. I may take you seriously. Then, as a good devoted wife, I'd have to tell Matthew. And as a good devoted husband, he'd have to challenge you to a duel. Then Sally would be destitute when you perished. We'd have to take her in, and I'd lose my glow. She smirked over her shoulder as she took the coffee and tea into the dining room. So glad you could make it. Yes, we really should do this more often. Call me next week. Finally, Matthew pushed the door closed behind the last guests with a soft whoosh of chilled night air, displacing the collected human warmth. Much as she enjoyed entertaining her friends, she embraced this moment, the sense of completion and entropy, of Martha Stewart accomplishment and Courtney Love abandon. The room just moments ago buzzing with voices stilled. Wine-inspired blood coursed through Christina's ears in the silence. She picked up stray glasses and cocktail napkins from the coffee table. Her inclination was to leave the picking up until the morning. By this time in the evening, she had had enough party-related labor, but she knew that irritated Matthew. He hated coming out in the morning to a mess. They had worked out a compromise. Get it stacked up in the kitchen, food put away, the rest could wait. Matthew took one load to the kitchen, then headed to the bathroom. She made a couple more trips back and forth, living room to kitchen, waiting for him to return. She was unexpectedly invigorated, given the hour. She should be dead on her feet. She remembered the last time she was alone in the living room and looked down the hall to the closed bedroom door, willing her husband to come find her. The sense memory of Rick's hand on her back found its way in, unbidden. She unbuttoned her blouse and lasered sexual energy toward her husband. Nothing. Silk fluttering behind her, she strode into the bedroom. A single dim lamp on her side of the bed was lit. Her husband, under the covers, turned away from the door. She slipped out of her clothes and into bed. As she spooned him, she was surprised to find him still in his jockeys. She listened to his breathing. No, he wasn't asleep. He must be mad. She tucked her hands under his unyielding chest as best she could. What's the matter? What happened? He didn't move. She waited. She went over the evening in her head. He rolled onto his back and took her hand away from his chest, where she nervously played with his hair. Her skin tingled with the effort to remain in contact with him, fighting his subliminal suggestion to send her away. She puzzled over his breaths and pauses, looking for clues.